Hello, this is Learner in the Burner. I'm Garrett,
And this is Neville.
and we're going to be talking about Watchmen.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so Watchmen. What do you think of the Watchmen movie?
The Watchmen movie was one of the most faithful movies to the source material that I've seen in a long time.
Oh yeah,
No, besides
yeah.
one or two things, but other than that, it almost goes like beat for beat, skipping a lot of crucial building, but it still gets there.
Have you seen the Ultimate Cut?
I don't think I have.
That's like it's like a director cut, of the movie, but it's like 3 hours long. It's like 3.5 hours long, and in there is pretty much the whole comic is in the. Pretty much, he filmed the whole comic. Okay, but then it was cut down because it's like almost a 4 hour movie, so it was cut down to be a normal 2 hours or whatever it is.
The Ultimate Cut. Wow.
Yeah, it's long. Um, I like
So
the original better.
you watched the Ultimate
Yeah, I've
Cut?
seen the Ultimate. It's the same movie, but it has way more scenes, like way more stuff. But it's long.
Well, I'm looking at pictures now, and it includes the asides that the comic book kid and the comic or the newsstand guy have, which I was sorely missing. Like every two chapters, they'll like switch over to these characters, like the comic book guy and
Oh,
the
the pirate.
newsstand.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
the
pirate
pirate.
and the zombies and all that crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah, and there's a gang that's running around Manhattan called the man, I
not
don't even
not.
remember what, and that's in the movie, but they cut the whole gang thing out.
Yeah, I guess it was to show that civil unrest or something, but
Okay, so Watchmen, for those who don't know, is a comic book written by Alan Moore and drawn by Dave Givens, and it was published in 1986. It's an older comic. Then there was a movie that came out early
2009.
2000s.
09.
Oh nine, okay, by Zack Snyder, same guy that made 300, and it's basically a superhero movie or a comic book graphic novel. Here's the plot. Starts out October 1985. Edward Blake is murdered. The police are checking out his apartment, and there's no leads of who murdered him. So the police come and go. They came out with nothing. And then Rorschach enters the scene in the middle of the night. And
breaks
Rorschach,
breaks into this building through the window like Batman.
yes, Rorschach is a vigilante at this point. He just breaks in to the crime scene and pokes his nose around, and finds out that Edward Blake, the guy that was murdered, is the comedian. And the comedian is another superhero from a few years previous that had retired. They used to work together.
Part of the Minutemen.
Yeah. So, like, you have the Avengers, who are like Captain America, Iron Man. Then you have the Minutemen, who are like Rorschach, comedian, Dr. Manhattan, Silk Spectre, Night Owl, all them.
Yeah, but that was like the most recent iteration of the Minutemen. It was like a brand like further back that the comedian was a part of.
What do you mean?
Well, there was like the original Watchmen that had Christ alive. I forget. It's like
Oh,
Spectre's mom, the comedian, the reason why what's her butt is even alive,
oh, right. The original Silk Spectre and,
I think that
yeah.
was pre Manhattan days.
Yeah, it must have been. Because, like, the next group was Manhattan and the ones I mentioned,
Yes.
the younger ones.
So the original ones were like from the 60s, some something like that.
Uh, so there's Daniel Dryberg, who is the second Night Owl. He is also a superhero. John Osterman, who turned into Doctor Manhattan. Laurie Juspeczy, Juspeczzyk, is the second Silk Spectre, and Adrian Veidt which is the hero Ozymandias. So currently, all heroes have been outlawed. So they're all just doing their own thing, except Rorschach. He's a vigilante. Dr. Manhattan is just working with the government, doing molecular type stuff. Ozymandias is just running an empire, selling action figures of himself. The comedian is dead, which is the starting point of the whole movie and comic. And let's see, Night Owl is just chilling, doing his own thing as well.
He's the only one that's like truly like retired. Like
Yeah, he's bad. He's like
completely done crime fighting, but he does have fond memories of it.
So the second Silk Spectre and Dr. Manhattan are in a relationship together. The problem with that is Dr. Manhattan has basically all the powers you could want. He can change the size of anything and create anything. He can see time and forward, back, front, up, down, left, right. And so they're in a relationship, but he's so detached from people that basically he's a bad boyfriend. So the second Silk Spectre gets with the second Night Owl, and so they start going to dinner and all that stuff.
Well, it started off as him like trying to console her, and she's like, "Oh, I just need a friend." Like he straight weaseled his way in there.
Yes.
And freaking Dr. Manhattan's not even like human anymore. Like there's nothing really human left in him besides his memories of his past.
Yeah. He's a great character, though.
Yeah, he's basically like the only person in that universe that has a power, which is unique in itself. You know,
Yeah, he's the only
like
one that actually has like superhuman powers. The rest are just people dressed up.
like glorified Batman, every one of them. I don't know, Adrian's kind of got like a Tony Stark thing going on for him, but
Yeah,
other than that,
he's supposedly the smartest man alive.
yeah, self-acclaimed smartest man alive. Smart men get trapped in corners and they make really bad decisions.
Okay, so meanwhile, Dr. Manhattan is working with the United States. This is during the Vietnam War. With the existence of Dr. Manhattan, America won the Vietnam War like easy, and Richard Nixon was the president for several more terms. The Watergate scandal never happened because the comedian covered up that whole thing. Okay, this is what happened in the alternate timeline of Watchmen.
You think maybe he wasn't desperate like he was after Vietnam, to where he had to like break into the DNC and get dirt? You
Probably.
think did he win naturally? You know, like you think he had like the favor of the population because of his decisions?
Okay, so
Oh, this universe
the
is crazy.
comedian gets killed at the beginning. Rorschach's like, hold up, who's going to be killing the comedian? Because the comedian is still like an amazing fighter. He's like a totally buff dude, and somebody straight up threw him out the window and killed him that way. So Rorschach starts warning like all the other Watchmen, okay? Like Silk Spectre and all.
Somebody's out there trying to come and kill us one by one, but he's just like assuming. I think uh after the original Night Owl died is when he started making that
Yeah, yeah.
proclamation. He's like, oh shit, like somebody killed the comedian. That could be a burglar, but he was like, yeah, they're suspicious. But after the original Night Owl died, I think flags were definitely
Yeah.
raised.
And then there's an assassin who attacked Adrian, Ozymandias, and
Mm-hmm.
Ozymandias like killed him, you know. So there's definitely somebody trying to kill off ex superheroes at this point.
He's just taking a cyanide pill and spit it out.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
the assassin killed himself with a cyanide pill. It's
Or it
seemingly
appeared to be the case.
that's what it seemed like. So Dan and Lori get together. Night Owl and the second Silk Spectre. The second Night Owl and the second Silk Spectre get together, and they dress up one night to bust Rorschach out of prison. And that whole part is basically the
How to Rorschach in a prison.
how did Rorschach get into prison?
Think he got trapped in a house or something,
Oh, that's right.
and
Okay, Rorschach.
he was investigating like some like child murder, and then it was like a setup or some crap,
No. He went to go
right?
talk to Moloch, which is an ex-villain.
That's
But
right.
then when he got to Moloch's house, Moloch was already dead, and it was a setup. And the cops arrived right then, grabbed Rorschach, and then it looked like he killed Moloch, but he didn't. Threw Rorschach in jail. That's what happened.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm like a fucking criminal calling the police. Fat chance.
Right. Yeah, I forgot about that part. So Moloch is dead, which is interesting. Why is Moloch dead? We'll find out in a little bit.
Who's killing all these people and setting these people up and doing all these crazy things, and
Yeah,
it's like some really smart person's behind it or something.
perhaps. So Lori and Dan team up. They bust Rorschach out of prison. And then at this point, Manhattan has also been accused of giving people cancer just by being in his vicinity, because he's like superhuman, which may or may not be true. I don't know if that was resolved, but he exiled.
Oh, it was.
It was true?
It's a setup.
Oh, okay. Well, he exiled himself to Mars, and that's where he stays for the rest of the movie, pretty much. He's just chilling on Mars, and so
Yeah, but he had like this. He had this like confrontation on a live TV.
oh yeah, where
He's
his
like,
ex-girlfriend came out and she had cancer.
he's like, everybody I know has cancer now, and it's your fault, John. You teleported me one time, and now I have cancer. And then he's like, stop yelling at me, stop. And then he fucking teleports everybody in the room out. I'm like, well, they got cancer. Then he just decides to teleport himself to Mars. I'm like, bro, you couldn't have just done the one thing instead of both the things.
Huh. Yep. So Dan and Rorschach and Lori are on the run from the police now at this point. Dr. Manhattan's gone. He's at Mars. Moloch is dead. The comedian is dead. Someone was trying to frame Rorschach. So somebody is trying to get rid of these heroes, okay? One by one.
They want Rorschach out of the picture. They want Dr. Manhattan out of the picture. Silk Spectre and Owl Dude aren't really even an issue, they were almost fully retired, so the people that are kind of a threat and still in the game, those are the people that are getting taken out.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, who knows? I don't know. Maybe I do know. Who knows? So they run and they go to Adrian's office, Ozymandias, and they hack into his computer and they find out that Adrian, Ozymandias, employed both Moloch and Dr. Manhattan's ex-girlfriend and all of her family. That's a little interesting. Yeah. Ozymandias Corp, or whatever it's called, employed Moloch and Dr. Manhattan's ex-girlfriend and all of her family members.
So all the people that seemingly got cancer and died.
Yes. And Moloch, yeah, he also had cancer as well. That's right.
He had fucking hella cancer. When Night Owl came and was trying to interview him, he's like, "Hey man, how you been? It's been a while since I kicked your ass." Talking shop. He's like, "Cancer everywhere, and it's spreading fast." I'm like, "Oh my god, Moloch." That's why when I found him, I was like, "Oh, he died of cancer." That's what happened.
No.
And the police showed up. It's like,
no.
He get stabbed or something
No,
crazy.
He got shot in the forehead.
Oh yeah,
he was shot in the forehead. That's how he died. He had cancer though, and he was taking medicine for it.
Yes, everybody knows that Rorschach is well known for using a gun. and shooting people in the forehead.
Exactly. Yes. Okay. So at this point, they're starting to go, hold up. Ozymandias might have something to do with all this, which is strange because Ozymandias is a good guy, and there was an assassin that tried to kill him earlier. So they're like, it's a little weird. So they go to Ozymandias' lab in Antarctica. Basically, Ozymandias just starts spilling the truth at this point. So here's what happened. Adrian, Ozymandias, the good guy, the smartest man in the world, supposedly, self-proclaimed. Basically, he wanted to put an end to the nuclear war and achieve world peace. Okay?
I guess this should have been all prefaced with this is during the Cold War.
Right.
And
Yeah.
this is not a book about racism like some shows would like to think, but it's only about the Cold War and bringing humanity together.
That's entirely right. I completely missed that. This whole thing is during the Cold War, and there's a nuclear war hanging over everybody's head. Or at any moment, there could just be a nuclear holocaust. But so, world peace.
And you're constantly hearing updates in the news like minutes to midnight, which is like basically the nuclear holocaust. Right?
Yes.
Like once the nuclear clock goes to midnight, that's it. That's mutually assured destruction has occurred. But everybody's shitting their fucking pants the entire time.
Yeah, the whole time it's just a ticking time bomb. The world's gonna go to nuclear fallout any minute. So, Adrian comes up with this plan to make world peace. He genetically engineered a giant psychic alien, okay, on a remote island out in the middle of nowhere, okay. And his plan was to teleport it into the middle of Times Square, which would then cause the people to team up against this phony baloney alien that, is seemingly attacking Earth at the point. Does that make sense?
He created it? I'm forgetting that.
Yes. So Ozymandias Corp, or whatever it's called, creates this giant alien squid monster. And the comedian a few years back was flying from some country back to America and flew over the island that Ozymandias was creating this giant alien squid on. And he saw it. Okay. And he found out about all this stuff that was happening. He found out about Adrian's plans to teleport this monster to Times Square and kill a ton of people. And
was this Night Owl?
No, the comedian, the guy that died at the very beginning, right? He found out about Adrian creating this alien, to create world peace, but in the process kill like 1 million people or so. And so he came back home with the knowledge, but he wasn't sure on whether or not to foil his plan. Okay, because the reason the comedian was having such a bad time towards the end of his life was he was weighted with the guilt of knowing this and not knowing whether or not he should turn Adrian in or let Adrian do the plan, because it is it's a gray area on whether it's right or wrong, which obviously it's quite wrong considering killing millions.
Morally wrong, but politically, I don't. Maybe he thought he was right. My thing is, why the fuck did he drop this thing on Russia? Now I'm saying.
Well, then it would possibly just create a nuclear war, or it could have. I don't know. That's a good question.
Could have done the exact same thing, or nuclear war.
That's a good question.
I guess only the smartest man in the world would know why.
That's a good question. So the comedian found out Adrian's plan. He comes back to America. He's dealing with it, and he's not telling anybody because he's thinking maybe this crazy plan will work. So he ends up going to Moloch and spilling the beans of Moloch one day when he was drunk and he was crying, you know?
Broke into Moloch's house while he was asleep,
Yes. And
drunk as a skunk.
Moloch is just the ex-villain who's just sitting there watching Jeopardy, just not doing anything, so that's why Moloch had to die as well, because Moloch knew the plan also. So Adrian killed the comedian at the beginning, because the comedian found out. Adrian killed Moloch, because Moloch knew. Adrian staged the assassination on himself, and he killed the assassin. Adrian called the cops whenever Rorschach showed up to Moloch's house with the dead Moloch there. And then
God, that's why I love this
and
media.
also
I love this IP.
Adrian also
Because
gave
it's like,
cancer to all those people and made it look like Manhattan was the cause of it. That's why, they were all employed under Adrian, because he was somehow feeding them some sort of cancer thing through the vents, through the air vents. Remember that?
yes, sir.
So that's pretty
That's all I'm
crazy.
like, I don't know how the hell he targeted these specific people instead of like everybody in the entire building,
Yeah.
I'm like thinking like 100% of his staff force should have cancer, and that would bring up a red flag. But I don't know if he's sitting around the corner with a button like 3, 2, 1, spritz. Like if he's waiting for them. Steady,
I
steady.
don't know. Somehow he did it. Probably gave cancer to a bunch of people for all we know, really. So Adrian tells them his plan. Night Owl, Silk Spectre, Rorschach, Manhattan. Tells them the plan. Okay. And then they're like, well, we're going to stop you. So there's a fight scene, blah, 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 all that. Turns out Adrian had already activated the giant squid 10 minutes before they even got there. So it was too late at this point. The alien squid gets teleported to Times Square. It kills like 1 million people or whatever. And everybody thinks that there's aliens coming to attack Earth. So they all team up. And possibly the plan works. Okay. And that is pretty much the end of the story. The plot, anyways. So, Rorschach. Okay.
Big plot in a tiny nutshell.
Rorschach is a character. Okay. Each character in the show has a stereotype of a way of looking at things in a good or bad light. Like, for example, Adrian has a utilitarian type view. I believe that's the correct term, where it's like kill 1,000 to save 1,000,000. When in this case it's like kill 1,000,000, save 1,000,000,000. But
needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Right. So in his point of view, this plan is the way to go. Rorschach is the opposite. Like his mask is black and white, right? And that's the way he sees crime is good and bad, black and white. So he sees Adrian killing 1,000,000 people. That's bad. Like no matter what ramifications the action has in the future, but he killed 1,000,000 people. That's bad. So Rorschach's like, I'm about to go tell on you. So he leaves Antarctica to go tell on him. But Manhattan's like, hold up, this plan could work. Let's not do this. Or Rorschach's like, you got to kill me. So Manhattan kills Rorschach right then.
Explodes him into fucking mist.
Explodes him,
honestly.
And the blood makes the silhouette of a Rorschach symbol in the movie or in the comic too, I think.
Almost like a Hiroshima shadow.
Yeah.
So I'm like going back to the nukes.
So that's the comic. In the movie is almost the same story, except the ending is a little different. In the movie, instead of it being an alien squid, Adrian creates bombs from Manhattan. Okay.
A tachyon or like some specific energy that Dr. Manhattan has.
Yes.
That can be traced back to him.
Tachyon particles, which are not proven in real life, but they're a real thing. They're a real hypothesis or whatever you call it in real life, which are like tiny little particles where time goes backwards for a split second or whatever in the particle or something like that. I'm not going to pretend that I know what that is, but it's something like that.
Technical particle is a hypothetical particle that always travels faster than light. Most physics believe that its faster than light particle cannot exist because they are not consistent with the laws of physics. Blah blah blah.
Okay, yeah, because if something's faster than light, then it's going to be from point A to point B faster than you see it, and you can look back at point A from point B and still see the object there. Time travel.
Yeah.
So that does not make sense, really, but I get the idea. Okay. So in the movie, Manhattan is making these big things for Ozymandias Corp. Okay, which Manhattan didn't know at the time, but they were bombs. Okay, and whenever they explode, they release these tachyon particles. So Manhattan, even though he could see the future and the past, the present, couldn't see when the bombs were exploding, because when they explode, they release tachyon particles, which makes time not work right. So he couldn't see that point. So,
Well, yeah, I guess that should be prefaced with Dr. Manhattan doesn't see things in the present. He sees past, future, and present simultaneously, unless tachyons are involved. He's like, there's, I can't see what's behind this door because there's tachyons behind this door, you know?
yeah, it's like his kryptonite, I
So,
guess.
yeah. So, like, basically, the smartest man alive figured out the one thing that he can take advantage of. Is like, John already knows what's on the other side of the door before he touches the doorknob, you know? And I guess some unfortunately in the TV show they kind of like bastardize this concept where they're like he does it he's like time is concrete and I can't change that. You know, I'm like, bro, you know you're about to something bad's about to happen, but you do absolutely nothing to change the path. You know? He's like, which is not really how the comic book worked. You know, he's like, I see what's going to happen in the future, or maybe he does. Maybe he like tries to basically like beeline from point A to point B according to what he perceives. But shit, I'd be changing the fuck out of the future if I had that ability.
Well, here's the thing. So Manhattan, his issue is he's so detached from humans that he doesn't care to stop what happens, even though he knows what's going to happen. The explosions, right? The killing of the millions. He knows it's going to happen. He just doesn't know how it's going to happen because of the tachyons, but he knows it's going to happen. And he does not really care, which is the comedian was telling Manhattan about that, saying, you don't even care. Like, what are you doing? You know, you lost touch, you know, like the part where the comedian killed that Vietnam bystander, you know, the
Pregnant with his
yeah,
child.
that's right. And Manhattan just watched it happen. Like he is losing touch at this point.
Could have turned the gun into snowflakes, but you
Yeah.
didn't. You know, like one of the best damn lines. And that actor, he plays Negan in The Walking
Yeah, he
Dead.
plays Negan. He's a good actor. He's in like a couple random
Dude,
movies.
he is really good.
Yeah, I like it. He's a good
You
actor.
kidding me? Negan is my spirit animal. You know,
Talking about Jeffrey Dean Morgan. That's the actor's name.
that's the man. The legend.
Oh man, I had to stop watching The Walking Dead whenever man.
No spoilers. Stop. Don't. I haven't
Dude,
finished.
he's serious. It's like 5 years old. Okay.
I know, but I'm on season
Oh,
7,
oh,
so like, if you haven't even
okay.
gotten that
Well,
far, then
Negan did something and I had to stop watching because I was like okay. Anyways, whatever.
yeah, Negan's a fucking asshole.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Oh, you mean the first thing that Negan does when he gets
Well, now I
introduced?
don't want to spoil it. I don't know who's. I don't want to spoil it. I forget.
When he first meets the clan?
I'm
Yeah. Yeah, bro.
pretty sure we were talking about the same thing, but I'm not entirely sure because it was a while.
I fucking forgot the character's name,
I
dude.
can't remember
Like
his name
Jimmy.
either. He was like the pizza guy in like season 1 or something.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I saw that and I was like, that was the one thing everybody and their fucking mama like spoofed, you know? Like even Dave Chappelle had to like throw his hat in the you know, you seen that skit with Dave Chappelle playing Negan?
Oh man, yeah, that's funny.
He's all bent backwards like he does like wait like I fucking dude, hilarious dude.
Oh man, that is funny.
Yeah, Negan doesn't get any better after that. Watching
That's
him.
a good show. Okay, so anyways, in the movie, the difference is in between. Instead of a alien squid, it is multiple bombs made by Dr. Manhattan, and Ozymandias distributes the bomb. He teleports the bombs to major cities across the globe and explodes them.
Are you? He can teleport
Yeah,
stuff.
he
Oh,
created teleportation. Dr. Manhattan created teleportation. Ozymandias Corp, or whatever it's called, harnessed the teleportation and used it for this whole thing. Yeah,
damn it!
and so
That's why I'm like, I'm kind of wondering, like, is in the comic book, whenever you first get introduced to Doctor Manhattan, he's like making out or making love with the Silk Spectre, and she like looks down the hall, and he's in the lab like fixing
yeah,
something, you know. She's like, "You son of a bitch," you know, like you can't even fucking focus
yeah, he had a shadow
on
clone.
me for one
He was like
second.
making Naruto
Yeah,
shadow clones and stuff.
Shadow Clone Jutsu's like, you want a fucking six way right now? Like, what do you want? What do you want, woman?
Oh
Like,
man.
I was like, oh.
Oh yeah, you
So,
can tell he's.
so you think he was making bombs in that
Yeah,
scene?
what he's working on is, well, he thinks it's some sort of generator or something. I don't even remember, but basically, Adrian turned them into bombs, giant nuclear bombs. Oh, they were like fusion reactors. That's what they were.
Oh, those things explode
Yeah, he
good.
can make them explode easy. So, which is what he did. And so he teleported all these giant fusion reactors all into major cities across the globe, and they exploded and made Dr. Manhattan the villain that Earth teamed up together to then fight against. Dr. Manhattan. So in the comic, the villain was aliens. In the movie, the villain ended up being Manhattan, even though he's not the real villain. But the
That's so
yeah,
crazy because fucking Reagan or something. I think it's Reagan. He's like, I was a Cold War era, right, Reagan?
I believe so. I don't know.
Well, Reagan like literally specifically said he's like, we're all fighting, but just imagine if there was some outside threat that we had to face, we would all come together. You know, like literally fucking like spill the beans on like the Watchmen book. You know, so I'm like they totally took that from like Reagan's like national address about, yo, what if there's aliens? Like Reagan legit like said something like
Really?
that. Yeah.
Which one came first?
Well, Reagan alien speech.
Unification by
Let's
Alien
see.
Invasion.
1987.
And the book came out in 86. So,
Shut the fuck up.
that's interesting. I think Reagan might have read this book.
Publication date September 86 to October 87. So it was being written all the way through that time period.
Interesting.
September 87. His speech before. Okay, so literally 1 month after this book was finished.
That's pretty crazy. So,
Reagan.
here's a quote from that speech in
Hilarious.
1987. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside of this world. President Ronald Reagan. 1987.
This
That is
dude
interesting.
may have read The Watchmen or had somebody on staff that read The
Yeah,
Watchmen.
it seems like it. Because that is a interesting thing, like, I don't know. I don't know enough about world politics or whatever you call it.
Geopolitical
Yeah.
machinations.
Yeah, that's pretty much the story. It's a very good book, very good movie. I'd say it's Zack Snyder's best movie.
Yeah, he for sure has a style, and this is one of the few properties that his style almost completely
Yeah, like
like.
300, it's all the
Yeah,
same.
where it's like dark and gritty. I'm like, bro, stop fucking trying to make Superman and Batman dark and gritty. Like, just like there's not millions of people dying right now. Well, there was, but fuck. But he has his moments, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
I got a bunch of shit to add, sir. This
yeah.
is like my favorite IP,
What you got?
And first off, Rorschach. He played Ozymandias in fucking Dr. Manhattan. Hard at the end. He's like, "Yeah, I'm leaving. I'm telling everybody. And what are you gonna do? Kill me?" He's like, "Yes." But Rorschach fucking played 9D chess with their fucking asses, all right? He already spilled the fucking beans. The beans were spilled, all right? And that man loved his beans. He spilled the hose. He dropped his diary into a mailbox, and he was like, all right, I'm going on the final mission of my life. He knew Dr. Manhattan would just tear his anus a twine,
Wait, what?
So
Oh, man. Rorschach knew everything that Adrian was doing before he went up to Antarctica?
he had a very good idea. That's really why they went to Antarctica, is because they had almost proof,
Oh, that's right. They found out because of the computer files and all that. That's right.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. So
exactly.
Rorschach dropped his diary into the newspaper place, and then the news guy was reading at the
Mm-hmm.
very end, or he didn't read it, or no, that was left open. That's right. They didn't show him read it or not read it.
It was like in his inbox, like on his desk,
That's right. Wow.
or something like that. So I'm
So
like,
why was he?
Rorschach was the smartest man alive, like he was like, but it came to the point where he's like, if this doesn't bring the world together, then they need to reach justice.
Well,
You
right.
know?
Why did Rorschach make a big stink about it if he knew he was going to get killed by a Manhattan anyways?
What do you mean?
Well,
What stink did he make?
he was like, I'm going to go tell everybody, even though he already did secretly. Why is he going to go say that he's going to tell everybody, even though he knows?
Because he wants to go beat motherfucking Ozymandias' face in and grab him and take him to fucking jail. Like he's an old school cop. All right, he's like the retired cop gone rogue, like almost entirely like the Batman character.
No, Rorschach. Okay. One cool thing about Rorschach is, let's say there is a vigilante like Batman in real life. So Batman, he can function normally in the daytime. He's like a normal dude, I mean, yeah, he's a millionaire and all that stuff, but he like goes to restaurants, goes on
How is
dates,
he not
normal
fucking?
stuff.
How is he not tired?
Well, okay, so
His mother.
Rorschach, in real life, if there was a person like Batman who was out every night, the type of person that would do
He
that
would
is
be asleep
probably,
all
well, no,
day.
it's probably
You
a
know.
nut, probably a huge crazy person. Because what kind of person would do that? So in Watchmen, Rorschach, his actual persona is a homeless crazy person that walks around with a sign that says the end is nigh all the time. The actual type of person
Yeah,
who would dress up and be a vigilante at night is a lunatic. And the book shows that. You know what I mean? Like, no normal person is going to be like, yeah, I'm a normal, but then at nighttime I'm Batman. No, they're going to be like off the wall nuts.
yeah. Well, he was a special case. The rest of them, Night Owl, which is like literally the Bruce Wayne character. Like he's like, I got some money for my dad. Like almost fucking identical. Like because he's got the bat plane and everything.
Oh, yeah,
Like
Night Owl.
he's well adjusted. He's basically well adjusted. He actually goes out on fucking dates and gets like he gets the girl in the end,
Well, here's the thing about Night Owl is
and he's
he
a man.
gave up fighting crime. He was like, okay, it's illegal now. I'm done. But the difference between Rorschach and Night Owl is Rorschach didn't stop. He's like 40 years old and he's still out there every night investigating crime scenes of murders and whatnot. Night Owl is like, okay, I'm 40, I'm getting chunky, I'm gonna just watch Jeopardy. So that I could see being like semi-normal. But
Oh, let's talk about Night Owl real quick.
okay.
Night Owl clearly has like an addiction to fighting crime. Even though he gave up, he was like a shell of a man when he did. Obviously, he went down to the owl cave, the owl nest or whatever. He was like touching his old suit, like man, those are some good times, And he'd like get his rocks off by going down there and like checking his old stuff out. And I'm almost positive in the movie, I think I remember this. He like tried to get with Silk Spectre and like couldn't get it up or something, right?
Oh, that's right.
And then he went out and fought some crime, and he's like, "Let's go back up there." And, like he literally got his rocks off on fucking beating up criminals. Like,
that's right. He went and when they sprung Rorschach out of jail. Right after that,
almost immediately, like Rorschach, I'm gonna need you to hide in the back for like 45 minutes.
Go watch TV in the back room really quick.
Like, that's Rorschach. Like, you might want to wrap that up or something. Like. So
That's
he
true.
literally gets off on beating up criminals.
That's true.
Like,
Night Owl, yeah. He has that.
He's a deviant for beating up criminals.
I'd say the most normal one is probably Silk Spectre 2. She, from what I could tell, didn't really want to be like a superhero, but her mom was Silk Spectre 1 and wanted her to be Silk Spectre. So, like,
yeah.
It seemed like she was the most normal, I'd have to say.
Easily one of the most normal. And like this whole intellectual property, the Watchmen universe, it's a very unique thing. Like people try to recreate it, but it was a work of fucking art. Like it's a whodunit mystery with masks in like one super powered entity.
Yeah, and like we nowadays there's so many shows like this, but in the time, the mid '80s or whatever, apparently there was no superhero things that were like real life like this, where this is what it would be like if there were actual vigilantes, blah blah blah.
Yeah, based on our current reality.
But nowadays it's like there's a ton of just gritty superhero movies.
Yes, exactly. Like that was based in New York City in The Watchmen, not Gotham, not Metropolis, not anything else, but New York City.
Yeah, actual New York.
Nixon was the president. Like this is a real reality, current continuity. Like it's supposed to take place in the world that we live in.
Yeah.
Except for the whole fucking Dr. Manhattan thing. And it's basically just like social commentary on like the war and how stupid fucking blowing each other up will be when that happens.
Yeah.
If it happens. Like, but it was all through the Cold War. It was like inevitable. Like I'm sure people lost years off their life worrying about this every day, like duck and cover drills, like that'll fucking help when you have like 1,000 pounds of lumber, metal, twisted steel on top of your head.
Oh yeah, it's like the bomb evacuation drills where it's like hide in the bathroom. Like, oh, okay,
yeah,
just get in the bathroom.
Stand in a doorway. Like, okay, it's the strongest thing in my house. You're right, the doorway.
The doorway. Yeah, it's the thing that has cracks in the corners from foundation shifting. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I was literally looking at my doorways now. I'm like, fuck. Somebody's upstairs stomping around too hard. I don't know.
Oh, I have the same neighbors. Yeah.
Um, the whole structure of this comic book is like revolutionary in itself. Like the 9 panel setup and almost like it's almost entirely like 9 panels. There's usually like a big one on top and then a few on the bottom, but like whenever it gets to like the 9 panel pages, where it, like each individual panel is like a completely different scene, you know? Like you have to genuinely use your imagination. There's no copying, there's no like the guy is facing straight forward in one panel, guy is turns his head to the left. In the next panel, guy looks straight down. In the next panel, like it's all completely different, like self-contained panels. Like they're over on this side of the room, they have this conversation, and then they're in a different room, and you have to imagine them walking between rooms. You know, it doesn't baby you along. It
Oh no, it's not an easy read. It's not even written in chronological order. It's written from Manhattan's point of view, which jumps back and forth the whole time.
Oh yeah,
The comic is amazing. It's not easy to read. It's long. It's a great comic. There's great art. It is not for kids, you know. It's a tough read.
It's an adult book with pictures.
Yes, but it's amazing.
Couldn't, couldn't agree more.
It's up there with, all my favorites. All right. Well, you got any more things to say about Watchmen?
I have the most important thing to add. The most important thing: the plight of Alan Moore and him getting royally fuckled out of his intellectual property.
What happened?
He signed a contract with DC. He doesn't like working for DC. He didn't like working for DC at the time. But they're like, Alan, A-Dog, A-Moore, brother, if you write these comic books, not graphic novel, comic books, then after it goes out of syndication, which usually is like they print, I don't know, 1 million copies of the first issue, second issue, third issue, all the way down to like whatever issue, like 13 or 14. And then like, that's it. You know, it's out in the world. They don't keep printing it. Like most comic books are usually like one print and done, you know, like, or at least they were back in the day. And like his contract was set up like you're going to get all the rights to this, whatever it's done, being published. You know, like we got the publication rights for now, but once we're done publishing it, you get it. You get all the commercial distribution, like toys and shit.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
So, but as soon as he was done, they turned around and made it into a giant collection and basically turned it into a graphic novel, which when you turn something into a novel, it usually doesn't go out of print. So they literally like small printed his ass like at the bottom, you know, like that, unless we turn it into a collection and
really
keep printing it for the rest until the end of time. Yeah, so like they haven't stopped printing it. That's why you can go into a bookstore and buy it now. And he literally hasn't been able to cash in on his property like he should have, you know.
Wow.
Like they paid him for his writing, you know. They paid Gibbons for his artwork, but
so basically they were like, as soon as we're done printing, we'll pay you the whole thing. But then they turned it into a big book where they'll never be done printing.
Exactly,
so
but
they never got paid.
He got paid initially, but that's not like worth like pouring your entire heart and soul into, you know, like a small check. But if you're gonna pour your living essence into a written work, then you know, you would like to get some distribution rights. You'd like to be the actual like owner of that.
Wow. I looked up
Probably.
his net worth. He is worth 10 million.
All right, now look up the net worth of the Watchmen property. My God, what could he have made if he would have sold it right? So he literally he's like, DC, you have found a way to swindle me again,
I don't
and that
see
will be the
that.
last time.
I don't know how to look up net worth of
Yeah, no,
that, but
that was a weird
he
search.
made
I know.
multiple things like V for Vendetta and From Hell and The Killing Joke, I think, and he made a ton of amazing graphic novels.
Yeah, Alan Moore, Neil Gaiman, they're they're legends in the game. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
pretty positive Neil Gaiman had something to do with this too. He was like helping out with like writing or something. Neil Gaiman's a writer, so
Oh, is that the
yeah.
guy that made
Let's
what's that? Where it's all crazy? The Dune? Is it Dune? Sand Dune?
no, he didn't write Dune.
No, not Dune. The book. There's like Sandman.
Sandman, yes sir.
That's what I got mixed up with Sand Dune, and then
Dune Man. He's doing he does American Gods, or he wrote the book American Gods, and that's like being made into a TV show right now, which is a really good show.
Well, all right. Well, you got any more things to say about Watchmen?
I just wish Alan Moore would get his just desserts, man. Other than that, yeah, that's it, man. I just love the Watchmen, and I recommend anybody that has stuck around and listened to please go read that book.
Yes, check out Watchmen by Alan Moore. It's a graphic novel. You can find it at any bookstore.
Anywhere, everywhere, and that's why Alan Moore doesn't get paid.
Yeah.
But it's a great read. It's a mind cruncher. It's really
It's a large story. Yes.
it is a large story. That is the best way I've heard it put.
All right. Well, this has been Learning the Burner. I'm Garrett.
And this is Neville.
And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye bye. And scene. All right.
And see you.